I'm Joe Kirkham, for everyone I haven't met, and I run Classic Arcade Works. So basically, I build and restore cabinets, replacement cabinets for if you got water damage or rodent damaged cabinets. Get them out of there, and like this one. This is the Star Wars that's sitting out at our booth there. This is where it started from. Found it in a warehouse, been sitting for, actually this one was in it was at a go-kart place, a go-kart store, and he had it in a trailer. Who knows how long it's been sitting out there, and it didn't have a back door on it, so it was a nice house for all the rodents. And when I got at the bottom, it was full of fur and whatnot. And cleaned that out, and I didn't realize till later how bad it was. But it sat in my garage for a year and a half, just in that state, waiting.
Been there.
But
been there, done that.
Yeah. I was going to show you this little video here, but I can't figure out how to hook it up to his computer. So you just have to have some good eyes. But for everybody in the front row, it won't take much time, but this is what I do.
Wow. Is you assembling a whole cabinet?
You're fast. Cabinet.
What vitamins do you take?
How many so this is my multi-Miss Pac-Man cabinet that I make, Miss Pac Galaga. It's set up for you put whatever mantra in it you want, CRT, LCD. Yeah, they come out really well, and they've been popular. So that's just a little fun, something I did. But yeah, so I build new cabinets. I can do plywood, particle board, or melamine. That's the most stuff I do is melamine and plywood. Melamine is a black, slick surface, kind of like a countertop, and it's really strong. It resists chips and scratches pretty well. And the good thing about it, it's ready to apply artwork straight on. Like the Star Wars out there, you don't have to do anything to the surface except wipe it down with alcohol, and you can apply the artwork straight on. Then we can do plywood cabinets too, where you can paint, stain, whatnot. I've got a cocktail out there, Miss Pac-Man, that's what I did, is oak plywood, and stain and varnish it. It comes out really nice. But yeah, I'll just go through a little bit what I did on the restore on the Star Wars. So this is where we started, and you see it got water damage bad. The top was all swollen up, the vinyl was peeling off, and you can just see the front panel was completely waterlogged, starting to swell up there. And the bottom of the cabinet too was just chipped up, and you moved it and left pieces behind as it moved. This is the back. When I got it, it was missing the high voltage section there on the 6100, as you can see. And I got some more pictures too of the PCB cage was all rusted up from whatever was living in there. Left a nice mess of it. And you can see in this picture how the sides have separated from the front of the cabinet, just from the water damage and years of neglect. So we take care of that. And here's a good shot of the PCB, where you can see all just the mess that's in there. And actually had a problem getting the boards out of this one. Somehow, I don't know how they did it, but the PCB goes in on 2 plastic tracks, and halfway down the boards had jumped the tracks, so to say. And I didn't think I was going to be able to save the boards, get them out of there. It was so difficult, but managed to do it, and they actually fired up today, so I was quite happy with that. And discovered out it's actually a cockpit PCB. I think it's number 27. Cockpit number 27 there. So. And this is where I started the disassembly on it. Just give you a little insight here. The water damage, what happened as I removed that control panel, the board was just giving way, and just the weight of opening the control panel up, there was nothing really we could do to save the cabinet. So this is why this was a perfect one for a complete cabinet swap. It was just falling apart. And here's the little plastic strips that where it came loose somehow. And I was actually able to save those, straighten them up, and get them back in there. And this picture, there was a chat. I look at the KLB forums a lot. I like to get on there. I'm OU Flight, if anybody else is on there. But there was a discussion, it was probably 2 months ago or something, where somebody had taken a Miss Pac-Man cocktail and took it on the driveway and hosed it out with water. And I was just stunned by that. And but he said he did it and it worked, and I was like, all right, more power to you. But I was like, I would never do that to a cabinet, especially one of these Atari particle boards. So, and this thing was so gross when I didn't realize it until I opened up the marquee, and up here, let's see, you'll see, just full of spider webs. I don't know what was in there. But and then at the bottom of the monitor here, you can see some of the rat's nest that was just jumbled up paper and who knows what. Here we go. So just all pee and poop and whatever's in there. You know, I don't want to touch this thing, so I'm wearing rubber gloves and the mask the whole time. Because that's one thing I worry about too. Is you know, you don't want to vacuum the stuff out or brush it and get airborne. So I was like, I heard about this. Water down your cabinet and wash it out. So I figured, well, I don't want this stuff airborne, so we'll give it a shot, and I'm not going to keep this cabinet anyway. It's going in the trash. So here we go. A couple more pictures of the grossness. All right, so I took it out on the driveway, got a bottle, a spray bottle, filled it half full of bleach and half water. Probably stronger than you're supposed to make it. But so I went to town, sprayed the whole cabinet down, and let that sit, and then went to with the garden hose and washed it off. And actually it came out looking pretty good. I couldn't believe how much the water in the bottom of the cabinet though was just black and stuff. It was so gross. And there's stuff washing down the driveway. But I was actually not quite afraid to touch it at that point. But I quickly discovered that we're going to have some issues here. So this is just it drying out. And I put the wires up over the top too because I didn't want them sitting down in the mess that I was washing off. The reason I didn't completely pull the wires either is because you know, originally these came with Amplifone monitors, and the way they ran the wire was under the monitor there, so I couldn't get the wire loose without pulling the monitor. And I didn't want to pull the monitor because it was so gross. So I just opted to leave them in until I finished washing it off. And here's an after shot. If you remember, we went from this, and then after the water and bleach solution, we've got this. So I was actually quite pleased. Looked good, and night and day difference. And here's the inside of the cabinet. You see where it's a lot of that stuff is cleaned out, and it's actually looking not too bad. What's it doing here? Don't restart on. All right. So quickly, I discovered that the Atari cabinets do not like water. One of the biggest things that I found was the monitor support rails. If you look right here, for whatever reason, Atari decided to use particle board on those pieces, and then they used plywood for everything else. But these particle board pieces, once they got wet, it was like a sponge. You could just push them, and there was no structural integrity. And it didn't matter, after it dried out too, it was still like that. So please do not wash your Atari cabinets with water if you want to keep them. That and like the top marquee looked good, but it smelled awful. Because all that like pee and stuff that got soaked in the wood, now it's free to run around, and it still stinks. It's still sitting in the garage because I was using it as a template to put everything back in, but I can't wait to get it out. So So yeah, so the water, if you're gonna the water released the smell, and just the structural integrity was completely gone. I think there's a picture in here in a minute where I was, yeah, I'll get to it in a minute, but yeah, the sides started to come apart even worse, just moving it. It's like, just moving it from one side of my garage, it's just completely falling apart. My plan was to bring it up here to the show, and I was going to do a swap from one cabinet to the other, but it wouldn't have made the drive, and I'm still scared to touch it now because it stinks so bad, and yeah, I'm a kind of clean freak like that.
Gasoline or bonfire.
Yeah. I think my neighbors would get mad though. So. But here we go, building a new cabinet. I used 3/4 inch black melamine. And what I do when I build the cabinets, for those that you didn't hear me talk last year, I use a computer CNC router. So what I do is, actually, maybe I'll show you here. I copy the cabinets in the computer, take all the dimensions, and let's see. I'll show you right away here what this cabinet looked like. These are all, like, I have all these cabinets here programmed, all the specs. So I can do full cabinets, I can do replacement parts if you have a control panel or some other random part that's just bad, chipped up, whatnot. You call me up and I just pull up the file and cut out whatever piece you need, or a whole cabinet. I got to the point where I was trying to do all the cabinets, like I would offer all the cabinets complete built, but I quickly realized that unless I have an original sitting in front of me, the assembly on them is just too difficult. So I have a handful of cabinets that I'll do a full build out on. The rest of them I offer as a kit. I'll cut the parts off the CNC and sell them that way. But the Star Wars, this is what we go for here.
Joe, what did they use? What did it come out of the factory? What did they use whenever they built the cabinets?
From the videos I've seen of Atari, they had this big table with a huge router and two guys they would throw the template on the piece of plywood and just spin it around through the router, and they just one after another.
So they did use plywood?
Or Atari was particle board, you know.
Particle board, okay.
Right, exactly.
So you're actually making better quality grade cabinet with the melon, or is it about the same?
Well, I was going to ask that too. What's the difference between the two?
You know, because they did a vinyl over it, a heat applied to vinyl, you know, and they would do the vinyl and the artwork. I believe, I don't know, I'm not an expert on this, but from my understanding, it was a vinyl, and then they'd apply the artwork on it before they ever cut it out. So the melamine's a little different, but I think it's stronger in the fact that if you nick it, it's not going to tear, kind of like a vinyl, because a vinyl is kind of a rubbery, almost, you know, it's got a little surface where you can tear it. Where the melamine, you may get a little scratch in it, but they sell, it's basically like a crayon to fill scratches on the melamine. You can put that on and buff it out, and it pretty much takes away the scratch.
So it's particle board, melamine, and then plywood, like in that order of you know, better quality?
Well, it depends what you want, you know, because the plywood and the melamine are two different. Because the good thing about the plywood and the particle board are basically the same thing, except the melamine has that slick, tough coating on the outside. The good thing about the particle board is it stays true. It won't warp and bend. It'll stay straight for you, and it's just more stable. Plywood will vary with humidity. You can get some warping, cupping, a little bit like that. And also, like a lot of the plywood cabinets, you'll see if they've come apart at the bottom, they'll start to tear up. You'll get those strands that come loose and start to tear up the side, where the particle board, you won't get that. So, and then there's also another product that was used, like Bally used it, I think, in the Tron cabinets. It's MDF, which is basically, it's almost the same as particle board, but the particle board has bigger chips in it, and the MDF is like a fiber kind of pressed material. And I started to use that one too, but I quickly found that one is not as as strong holding screws and stuff like that, because the fiber will, if you put too much tension on it, you can actually pull those threads apart. So I like the particle board melamine. It's just stronger.
If you use that MDF stuff, be careful with your routing, because it's got some pretty nasty stuff.
And it'll get into.
You want a mask on that.
Yeah.
That's what I was just wondering. If somebody were to come to you and say, I want a collector quality machine that'll last me a long time, what would you recommend of the three? What would you
Well,
use?
if it's a black cabinet, I would do black. You can get the melamine in black or white.
Okay.
So if that's going to be your base color for like your artwork, I would do that. Or if it's a stenciled cabinet, I would, you can go with the plywood. The plywood's lighter
That's
too.
what I wanted to know.
And
Okay.
yeah, so it depends the application.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Yeah, the melamine is heavy. It's like, I think 95 pounds, maybe more than 95 pounds a sheet, 4x8 sheet. So
okay.
it's not light. That Star Wars is a ton. It weighs so much out there. Okay, yeah, I was going to show you the what it looks like after. Oh, you know what? He doesn't have this program on here. I don't think this will open. Yeah. It was an afterthought. I thought I could show you what the file looks like when I cut it out. But basically, I take all the dimensions and program it in a computer program, and then send it to a CNC machine, which basically specify what size bit and how fast I want it to cut, and it moves. Put a 4x8 sheet down, and it moves this router precisely, very precisely across, and cuts out identical pieces every time. And the only drawbacks on that is it will only cut at 90 degrees. It's a straight bit that comes down and cuts it, so you get a nice square corner. But where you have two pieces of material come together, like at an angle like this, I have to go back with the table saw and cut that beveled edge angle. So like the cabinets I was talking before, where I'm not doing every cabinet anymore because I don't know those angles unless I have an original sitting in front of me. But this is the very start of the rebuild on the Star Wars. So I lay it down on the floor, and here's where I'm doing the blocking. We got the base and then the monitor board. And this one I went back and I did plywood instead of the particle board that Atari did. And I'll do, I use a glue. There's a special glue for the melamine because nothing really wants to stick to it. So I do glue and screws in the high stress points and pneumatic staples in the other parts. Okay, here's where I went to pull this out so I could look at some of the placements of the parts. And as I grabbed it, and I didn't put much pressure on it, the front just fell off. So another reason, don't wash your cabinets with water. But yeah, it's just completely falling apart. And actually, after it dried, it doesn't look that great anymore either. So. Okay, and I took, in the meantime, I pulled all the metal pieces off and took them to get powder coated. This looks like after I got them back, yeah. And it looks great. One drawback on the powder coating that I found, this is the first one of these I've done, is that the parts get thicker. So not everything wants to fit together quite right. I had a little trouble with the yoke. I had to shave down a little bit of the coating to get the pieces to come together just right. So it's good and it's bad at the same time. So if you're going to powder coat the stuff, maybe just plan ahead a little bit and anticipate that. But everything came out looking great, especially like this mesh panel, and the coin door is really nice, I think. Oh, this didn't get rotated.
So you can spin it right there, Joe, at the bottom. Cool.
All right, this is a little out of order, but this is towards the end of putting everything together. What it looks like. All right. So basically, yeah, we just put all the pieces, or I put all the pieces in and glued and stapled it all up, and it came out quite well. I don't know if that's all the pictures that are on this. I had more on the laptop. Okay. Getting back from powder coating, getting ready to apply the decals on here. This is what they look like. And this, the control panel overlay came out really nice. Went through and just got a bag of clamps and lined it up at the bottom, clamped it all down, and then peeled up like the bottom inch of it, and stuck it down, and then I could pull the clamps off and put the rest of it over. That way, here we go. And the front panel on this one, getting ready to apply the artwork. I got the artwork from Phoenix Arcade, and I've been really impressed with all the stuff that they've done. But made this cabinet just like Atari did on these ones that have artwork on the front, where you can just tell it on by screws and you can take it off to apply the art. And I saved the center cutout because when you get the artwork, it's a flat sheet there. There's no cutout for it like this. So I saved that center piece. That way when I applied that, it wouldn't droop down in the middle. So when I applied it down, you'd have a surface to rest it on. But here's the afterwards, after it's stuck down, come down. And there it is on the machine. Oh, yeah, this is one thing I did. A little boo-boo on my part, but I was able to fix it. On the inside where the PCBs mount, there's a thin strip of like 1/4 inch wood, and doing everything 3/4 inch blocking strip, I used long staples, and first shot on I forgot to change staple ink, so I shot right through the side of the cabinet, but I was able to Bondo it up, and luckily it was right under the artwork, so you can't see it, and it came out well. Yeah. And here I got it down on the side, getting ready to put the artwork on. And this is what I don't know how many people have done artwork, but
everybody's scared to do that.
Yeah. This was my first one too. So comes in a big roll. This is the Phoenix Arcade stuff again. But this is how you get it. And I laid it out, tried to line it up, and I learned a couple of pointers on this one that I'll share. Trim. Went back and I started just trimming where I can tape it down to the sides. So that's why I cut it like this. But I got it all lined up where I wanted and taped it down so it won't move. And then what I did is, I think there's this after I applied it. On the other side, I've got some better pictures of actually applying it in the process. Let's see. Okay, this one. For the second side, I learned to trim the backer sheet closer to the decal so there's not so much overhang and you're able to line it up easier, because you don't need that extra anyway because you're just going to peel it off and throw it away. But get it lined up exactly perfect where you want and tape it down real good so it won't move. And then what you want to do is I start at the bottom. I've heard different opinions on that. I've heard guys start in the middle to do it, but this artwork that I had wasn't scored. The backing wasn't scored in the middle. You know, like if you get a sticker, you can peel that backing off. This wasn't done already, and I heard some guys do it that they'll score the backing through the artwork, but I was like, cut the artwork too much. Yeah, exactly. So I started at the bottom, which is really important to get it straight, because you start at the bottom. By the time you get to the top, you're going to be off if you didn't get it straight and taped down tight. So what it is, I peeled off the backing about 2 inches and then applied it down. Here's my little rubber squeegee that I used to push it down, and then check it again. So you got the bottom locks, and pull it tight and check it one more time. Make sure you got everything lined up, because if you're not at this point, you can still pull that up and get it straight. Yes.
Yeah. What was the temperature like when you were putting on the vinyl? Hot, cold?
This was in our house, so it was it was 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And so we keep, what, 72 degrees? Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering about, like, if it gets really hot if you're doing it in a garage, does the vinyl act strange? You want to stretch and all that?
I could see that happening, but I don't know what kind of temperature limits. So, like I said, this is my first dealing with the artwork of this size too. So.
Did you do it dry or wet?
Dry.
Oh, you didn't window?
No, he didn't do the wet.
A lot of people Windex it. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, like I said, this is my first one, so I'm not an expert by any means, so I'm just going to share my experience with this one, because as I went through, I learned stuff, so share what I found, and I'm sure there's lots of people that know a lot more than I do on it. But
when you peeled it back 2 inches to start it, did you cut the backing off or did you just fold it or what?
No, what I did is I peeled it and then cut it with scissors, and that way I could push it down flat. Because at this point, I wanted it flat and tight, and pull it as tight as I could so I could see at the top if it was still lined up. Where if we folded it back, you're going to have a little ripple in there.
Did you have any trapped air pockets at all while you did this?
No, it came out just like butter.
Can't believe it.
Wow.
You know, I just took that squeegee and okay, here's another shot of it. I just got the bottom 2 inches stuck down in the backing, still on everything else. So I was happy with the alignment, so I went ahead and I removed all the tape that I had. So now the sticker's just free to flop on the top, but it's locked down at the bottom, so it's not going to move. And I rolled it back up because we're going to start peeling the backing here. And so here we go. I got it rolled up. The bottom 2 inches are stuck down, and you peel back the bottom back underneath, and here's where we're going to use our squeegee. So you got the backing is kind of rolled back up under here, where it's going to keep that off the cabinet where it won't stick where you don't want it to. And this little tip I learned here too, that took a wrapping paper tube and you can put it under there, and that'll help keep that artwork off the cabinet from sticking where you don't want to. And then you just go real slow, pull the backing off, and Bethany, my wife, helped me, and just kind of work the vinyl down as you go, and just go slow, and don't get ahead of yourself. And I didn't have any problems, no bubbles or anything. Of course, I was working with a brand new surface too, with no imperfections, so I'm sure that helped. One thing I didn't mention on here too, it's very important to clean the surface you're going to apply to with alcohol to get any oils off your hand. Because I found out with the yoke overlay that I didn't do that with that one, and it didn't want to stick. I had to go back and redo it because I didn't clean it off with alcohol. But I did that, and this stuff stuck beautifully, and no issues there. Okay, so we're getting to the top, still peeling and going as we go here. And there's the finished product. So, and I think I can't remember if it's this side or the other side where I punched the cabinet with the staple, and can't tell. And here's some more parts back from powder coat and getting ready to reassemble them. New speakers, because the old ones were all rusted up and whatnot, so change those out, and coin door stuff. Sorry for the sideways pictures. I just go through them.
Did you use the black melamine for the speaker part too?
No, because the original cabinet didn't have it, so it was actually, I think they made the top part here. Yes, this is black melamine, and then the speaker panel is plywood. I think Atari actually used particle board on this piece here, particle board and painted it black, but I just figured if it's going to be black, just go ahead and do it melamine. In this one, you can kind of see, here's the speaker panel. It's held in place by 2 screws. And, you can just take it out and continue to work on it. I had these fixed on the laptop. So here we got the control panel installed and the monitor in there, and it all fit quite well.
Y'all do this quite a bit, you guys? You use Windex and stuff?
We do.
It slides around pretty easy to get to the right spot or whatever?
Yeah. we're fixing to shoot a video on it. The easiest way that we found, because a lot of times you had help and it looks great, so that, you know, there's no knocking it.
Yeah.
Whatever works, but I could do it by myself with Windex, because if you spray the cabinet with Windex and spray your side art, you can throw it on there.
Yeah.
And then you move it around
And
squeegee out the bubbles and stuff. But that's what's great about that melamine stuff he's talking about. I've done it both ways, and it works.
Yeah.
Because the main thing is the great surface.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much easier. And when you have help, I don't see why. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. I'll say
the one
that.
side I did too. I think I did
But you see how you really needed the help to do it that way, and to kind of pull it, and you had to tape it and everything. Whereas if the wet method, the only advantage in that is you do it and then kind of move it like you want it.
But you have to take the whole sticker backing off the whole sticker, right?
And we're soaking it. We're squirting as we pull it. Now, I usually start, because and if you do the wet method, it's probably better that you start at the top and go down, because it's going to run down. This is, you know, it's a tomato deal.
Yeah.
But I can see it as long as you're using the surface.
Yeah.
Is what matters more than anything, is getting that surface clean, and know you're not doing it. If you're doing it over some mold, you got to get every little pit and hole, or you're going to have little. Sometimes it's, and if you do have a bubble, I mean, worst case scenario, you take a pin and poke a little bitty hole nobody will ever see, and just get the air out, you know.
The wet method I've researched is soap and water mixture. And now you're telling me Windex will be, you can use Windex as well?
Yeah, we use Windex. Soap and water works great, but the cool thing about Windex, what happens if I go and squirt Windex all over my car window and wipe it a few times, doesn't take very long, and it dries and it's just gone. Okay. So what Windex allows you to do is to move it a little bit and get it right like you want it, and, you know, within reason. You're going to move it just a little bit, and then it dries really quick, but it gives you enough time to get the air and the bubbles out, and then when it dries, it's stuck.
Does that affect the durability of your stickiness, like the longevity of it?
No.
Doesn't break it down at all?
Nope.
Well, I figured ammonia would have broken down most anything sticky.
It worked.
No, I was just
Food for thought.
I'll be honest, I mean, you know, and I always thought lighter fluid was crazy, just getting off old stickers, but then when you do it and just light it on fire and let it get off, and, I mean, you know, like, hey, it works. It's just a preference.
One question.
It's just a preference, but yeah, but but the main thing is that surface so clean that when you do that, it just
And you don't think
it looks awesome.
The wetness will screw the cabinet up, the board up itself?
Not that stuff. That's another thing about that. The stuff what he's talking about. If everybody understands what melamine is, basically a laminated wood. That's what it is. It's just like your cabinet top at home. You get it wet all the time and wipe it right off. You could probably power wash it after you got through.
Actually, I'd worry about the edges, though. I'd worry about the edges that you have.
Edges, I'd be a little picky about. But usually your artwork, that's where I'm going out to the side. And we're not, you know, you're not talking about that much.
This stuff too, unless you're like really getting it wet for an extended time on the edges, it's not
like a flood.
And they actually, you can buy this melamine stuff in a wood grain, and they make desk out of it, like the Walmart desk, I think, is a melamine product. But yeah, I did that one side by myself too, so it's doable. Just take your time. You can do it solo. Let's see. Try to.
Always have bad luck tearing the whole sticker off when you get it. It's this long.
Yeah, I like
you're doing it by yourself, and it's sticking with stuff while you're doing it.
The weight of that wrapping paper roll was a really good tip. That helps, not because you're trying to keep it from curling and everything else. That'll help a lot. Maybe even a little heavier wouldn't hurt.
This here's a picture of the cardboard bezel that was in there where the rats ate it up. So I was able to find a guy on KLOV, I think it's Joey Kuda. He makes new ones, so I got a brand new one made from him, and it's beautiful. Here's his product. So put that on there, and it came out great. And there's the glass in place, the bezel and the glass. And the shrouds on now. I think this is about all the pictures you got. This picture, since the cabinet's kind of backed up in there in the booth, you can't really see the inside, but try to do everything as accurate as possible the way the cabinet was originally. So it's got the board mounts in there for the ampliphone if somebody wanted to go back and put that in, and that just to keep it like it is supposed to be, I went ahead and put those brackets in there. One thing that I couldn't, the power supply here in the PCB cage, I think I got a picture of. There we go. They were all rusted up from the rats and the water damage, so I looked and tried to find somebody to get, I think it's gold iridium plate that they used, and I wasn't able to find anybody that would plate it for me. So I got it powder coated. I was going to do gold, but it was going to be like twice as expensive to do gold powder coat.
Was the powder coating pretty reasonable? You probably got a lot more choice than we do.
I went to a place that was local, whatever place was closer to me, and this is the first time I'd done it too, and it was $200, which I think was on the high side from what I've heard. But they did the coin door, the speaker mesh, the yoke, these two parts, and I think that was it. The only thing that didn't get powder coated was this bucket here. That's the only thing I didn't get powder coated. Everything else.
That's good.
My guy charges me about, as long as I get a bunch of things at once, like couple control panels and just odds and ends, little small parts, because I did a 500 like this, and it's got all these little things on the control panel, you know. So all the little small parts were like $5-10, and then a control panel is like 20 or 25, you know. So kind of adds up. But if you have a bunch, you can probably knock it down.
That's where we went, and then I was able to finish up this morning. I finished the marquee. I had to put the overlay on that and finish getting the yoke together. Still got just a couple of things left to do on it, but it's definitely a new machine, going from the scary thing that we had before to what's out there now. I've got another one of these at the house that's in my game room, and it was in better shape than this one by all means. But I look at the one that's sitting out there now, and I look at what I have in the house, and I'm just like, now it looks bad. The one that's in our house. So, but yeah, I think that's about my time too. Does anybody have any questions?
How long does it take you to route one of the side panels on your set?
It takes to cut one side panel is probably about 5 minutes, maybe. Yeah. It takes, to do a whole cabinet, it takes me 3 sheets of melamine and like a 1/4 sheet of plywood for the base and random parts. It's, I think it's about 1.5 hours of actual machine running time to cut the whole cabinet. And then I have to go back, and the CNC machine will only cut one side of the material. It'll cut it all the way through, or it'll cut part way through for like slots and whatnot. So if there's any pieces that have slots on the other side, I have to go back and I do those by hand on the router table or with a hand router. And it won't cut, the CNC won't cut the T-molding slot either. So I have to go back and do that by hand afterwards. And those are pretty quick. It takes me longer to set up my tools than it does to actually cut the stuff. But yeah. Any other questions?
No, I got a comment, but I know most of the guys in here are hobbyists, collectors, and everything, and I know we kind of like everything original. But I did a trade with Joe one time, and the cabinet that was coming to me was kind of bad, and I almost wanted to accept it, but Joe said, "Just let me make you a cabinet, you know." And I said, "You know, I went for it." But I'm saying it's kind of stupid to keep it original if it's deteriorating. You know, it's not going to last you as long. But when the cabinet came to me, I mean, nobody can tell. I mean, it just looked like it came out of the factory, and it was an amazing job. I mean, like even the Star Wars today, when we saw it, we were floored.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just gorgeous, collector quality. It's amazing.
Thank
really
you.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of time goes into them. It takes me, I don't know how many hours I have in this, but I would say it probably takes me, on this one, it probably took me 5-6 hours assembly, you know, drawn out over a month period. I do this is my hobby. I do it at nights and weekends. So I don't get a whole lot of time to do it at one shot, so I do an hour, 2 hours here and there. So this one took me, when did I start working on it? About 2 months, at least. I think it took me about a month to do this one on the nights and weekends. And yeah, that's one thing I'm working towards, hopefully too, is being able to handle more capacity. So we're getting ready to have a baby this month. So number 4.
Congrats.
So
Bethany's gonna have a baby.
Are the multi-K cabinets, is that the big seller for you? Because I know we recommend a lot of times, hey, quit tearing up those classic games and
yeah.
buy a multi-K cabinet for the multi-K boards instead of...
The most popular one I do is the little
The
cocktail,
Miss
Miss
Pat.
Pat cocktail. And I had some pictures, I don't know if they were on here, but that one, you know, I can change things on it depending on whatever coin door you want to put on it, if you want to cut out for the power supply. And
So you have like a set price that you kind of go with?
yeah, I've got it on my website. I've got all the prices, and like I offer 3 different cabinet levels. I have the fully assembled cabinets, and I call those level 3. I got 3 levels.
Okay.
Fully assembled, and like I said, I offer a handful of those. Like I can do a Miss Pat Galaga, Tron, Star Wars, the Miss Pat Cocktail, Atari System 1. And pretty much whatever I have at the house that I can look at to copy. Yeah, I think Tempest I can do that. And other than that, I can offer, I think I have like 35 games on my website that I can cut all the pieces on the CNC, but if I don't have one there to cut the beveled edges, and sometimes there's some random internal parts that that the CNC doesn't cut. So I offer those as level 1 kits, which is basically, I'll cut it out and give it to you off the CNC machine, and it's up to you to put it together. And then I do a level 2, where I know what the bevel cuts are, and I can do the T-molding slot, and that way all you have to do is glue and staple it together. So I kind of have three ranges on most cabinets, depending on how advanced carpentry you are, or what you need.
I think your prices are really good, Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, you're cheaper than most, and better, and as good or better than everybody I've seen. And I've seen them.
Thanks. I strive to do everything as accurate to the original as possible, and take my time and not cut corners. I had to raise the prices a little bit from last year, I think, at the show last year, just because, like I said, it takes me. I found out the assembly takes so much longer. That's why I decided to offer the level 1 and 2 kits that are unassembled. That way I can offer a reasonable price on those, because it's not my man hours that are having to put together, because assembly is quite lengthy.
But if they're local and don't have to get it shipped, you're saving a lot of money right there.
Exactly. And I'll ship stuff too. I send a lot of, I think most of the stuff I sold, I sent out to LA. Sold a lot of stuff out there. But yeah, things are going well, and I think I got off track. We were having a baby this month, so I'm kind of tied up for this month and next month. But hopefully the plan is to get more streamlined, where I can offer more product in a quicker turnaround time. But yeah. Any other questions or anything? Okay. Well, thanks for listening to me and dealing with my technical issues.